So yeah, hi guys, and welcome to this interview with Azshene here. I invited him to tell us everything about Guardian and about what he thinks of the current state of the game and just everything you guys may want to know. So welcome, Azshene.
Thank you.
And this is my first question. Why did you choose to play your Guardian?
Well, it wasn't actually my first choice. I wanted to play an engineer, and me and Zella, we fought for that spot. And I just can't let it happen. We were both really good engineers, but he really wanted it, so I let him have it, German engineering and everything.
Well, it turned out pretty well, so yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was a
he's
good
good at
choice.
engineering. Yeah, and it's also more interesting to watch from his point of view. Yeah, so I went with Guardian because it's pretty much a necessary role in the team. It was not because I particularly enjoyed Guardian. It's something I'd look into. But it wasn't my first choice. But essentially, I had played support back in the days. I used to play WoW a lot, and I played a priest back then,
Nice,
and I
nice.
enjoyed that role. And I liked being able to support my teammates and also dish out some control, staying alive while helping teammates stay alive, and dishing out what little offensive pressure you could spare. Like you can. There's a lot of sacrificing time and cooldowns and such involved with playing a good support.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like Guardian too, but I have never actually played it. It's just I like the idea of the Bunker Guardian.
Yeah, I really
And
liked it back when you could play a less defensive build, so you could have more support in it. But I mean, it's also alright in the current meta, somewhat.
yes, and about the next question, uh, how do you think can ArenaNet improve your class, or do you think it's in a good spot at the moment? Talking
I
about
think
both Off Guard and Bunker Guardian.
and offensive.
Yeah, because I like the idea of Off Guard because he's dealing a lot of damage, but he's like a one shot for almost every class. So, what do you think?
Indeed. But the problem, what's keeping the guard back, I think, is the current meta, the offensive guard that is. It really can't deal very well with heavy condition spam
Yeah,
because it only has long cooldowns to remove them or somewhat passive cleansing. If you want to go for an offensive build, you can't afford to go 30 into honor and use soldier runes to keep up with the Kandi application.
yeah,
You need to go for some more
yeah,
offensive pressure.
because he would like a lot of damage, right?
Yeah, and it
Okay,
just doesn't
okay,
sustain well when it goes for damage. So if the heavy Kandi spam was nerfed somewhat, I think the damage guardian would actually be in an alright spot. Might need a few buffs here and there, but I think it would be mostly good.
would be awesome to
And
see one day. We'll see.
yeah, I hope. I really like my staff hammer build. I want to make that viable.
You can show me later on. It would
Yeah,
be yeah interesting. And
sure
what do you
thing.
think about the Bunker Garden? Is it in a good spot or would
The
you
bunker
change
guardian is a
something?
really good spot. It's
Yeah,
pretty much mandatory to have it in the team right now.
yeah,
It's if Condis were nerfed, I think it might be a bit too strong. I think it survives really well right now, at least if you go for full bunkering.
yeah.
But I would really like to see it return to a spot where it's less all-out defensive, survive at all costs, and more,
Team support or something.
yeah, toss in a hammer or something. And
Yeah, I saw this in I think it was the PAX finals when the Guardians played with the hammer
yeah,
to set up the spike. That
I
was
really
nice.
I like the hammer. I really like the hammer, but I just don't think you can afford to run it because it's very easy to exploit.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
if a if a guardian runs the hammer, you can kill him very easily. He has so little defense with the hammer out.
Yeah, I think so too. And now to a question I think most of the new Guardians would love to have an answer to. Like, how did or how do you improve your gameplay with Guardian?
That is, I've had that question before, and it's actually very difficult because it's hard to gauge when you're being effective as a guardian, right?
Yeah,
Now you can say an engineer or a thief, you can log on, you can try dueling people, and if you beat them, then you're being effective. Like if you're dealing good damage and killing things in team fight, you're being effective. But as a guardian, I mean, you can end up in situations where there's just no way you can survive, and you can't really gauge if you did well or not.
yeah, but
Or
like I think for people a good Guardian is someone who can support the team and like keep up the fight if in a 2-on-2 or bunker like three guys to the others can kill a Deather on the side point in a decent amount of time while the Guardian is trying to hold the most guys possible at mid.
Yeah, exactly. A good guardian is one that knows when to sacrifice his own defenses to help the team out, and when to keep them
Yeah.
for himself or for later. Like sometimes you just really have to save stand your ground, even though it might be good for the conduit lens, but you have to save it till someone goes down, so you can either rally or stomp,
Mhm. Yeah.
or you might have to save yourself for yourself for the defense, or you could use it to cleanse. Like, it's the same with the virtues, really. You need to be able to survive well, and when you can go for supporting the team.
Yeah. And another question is, do you also practice against like single classes in 101 so you can tank them as long as possible in duels? Because
I have done with some that I found difficult, like Ranger and Thief and Engineer.
okay, because some guardians I know have practiced a lot against mesmers when they were pretty strong.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
I
thought
did
like
that as well with my teammates stuff.
I see, I see. Okay. And do you have any tips for newer guardians on how to improve the gameplay or how to start up playing a guardian? Do you think they should like use your build from the beginning and practice it, or try their own builds and then come to the like meta builds?
If you want to play a bunga, I think a good place to start would be using this build because
Okay.
it's pretty easy to get into if you're just playing the role of a bunga and you're primarily trying to survive in this meta anyway. It's really effective.
I see.
Um,
Okay.
Going forward, you can try and experiment some. I mean, that's the great thing about the Guardian. All the weapons are somewhat viable at least, and most of the trees are fairly viable. You
Okay.
can mess around with things, but this is a good place to start at least.
Okay. Awesome. And I have a last question before we talk about your build.
Yeah.
And what do you think can ArenaNet improve in Guild Wars 2 PvP? Is there something special you want to see in the future?
Uh, I think this has been touched upon in a lot of places on the forums, and Health has made has made some good rants on the subject.
Okay, good. Okay, because
It's
I thought like you would have like a special idea what you really want to have in like PvP legendaries or something like that.
oh well, yeah, to make all of PvP more interesting.
Yeah.
Well, a better progression system for starters. This has been touched upon, but I have no real special plan that hasn't been mentioned already.
Okay.
It's just there's so many things that need to be implemented, and it just seems like it's gonna take a while for it to really get there.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. We'll see. I think I will continue playing it, but it's pretty hard at the moment because I'm main mesmer, so it's not the
Yeah.
easiest one for me. But I've switched to thief already, so I should be alright. So
Oh yeah.
I will go to spectate mode now
Hmm.
and check your build.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
let's start off with the runes.
Yeah, I'm using Runes of the Soldier, which is for the extra conduit cleanse. Along with triple shout, you get 3 extra cleanses from everyone that you shout it, which is particularly useful with save yourselves
Okay, I see.
because it turns one condition into a boon from the 30 points on a trade, and then it also removes one from each party member before transferring it to you.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. And about your weapons, the mace and the focus at the moment, and the
Yeah,
staff.
I used to play with a scepter, but I had to go with a mace because it gives you a lot of sustain, and in this meta, it's really helpful to be able to keep yourself alive. And the mace, it has an extra symbol which synergizes very nicely with my 30 point valor trait, altruistic healing, and my symbol's heal trait in honor.
Okay, we'll go to that later on.
Yeah.
And are there like on different maps do you play different weapons? Because like on Kylo with hammer to knock people down, or do you stick with
Um,
your weapons?
I mainly stick with my weapons. I've seen Guardians swap to sometimes a shield for Kylo for being able to get them back up on a node if they get knocked down. Also a hammer for knocking other Guardians off. I run with the idea that I should be able to avoid the heavy knockbacks, and if not, then we can coordinate for one from my team to get on the point. Because otherwise, I think with the hammer, it's too easy to exploit. Like if I ran with the hammer, then I've seen it happen before that people just ignore the mid node and they go for outer nodes.
Yeah, and then you
And
can
then
roll.
with a hammer,
Yeah.
I'm more or less I'm less useful than I would be with other weapons.
Okay. So about your amulet, what can you tell us about your amulet? Why do you
Well,
use it?
it's mainly it's the go-to for being a bunker basically. It's got the stats you want to survive. We'll obviously prefer to have vitality instead of power, but don't have
Yeah.
that option.
And Knight's Jewel for another like vitality. Yes,
That's
vitality
primarily for the crit, actually.
for the crit.
The vitality is also useful, but the crit you get from it is the main reason you take it because you get higher vigor uptime with having higher crit,
Ah, okay, nice.
and the vigor turns into dodging, which also heals you. It's a lot of sustain just from having that bit of extra crit.
Oh, nice. Okay, let's move on to your traits. I see a 0, 5, 30, 35.
Yeah,
So why 5 for the first, for Radiance?
it's mainly because you don't know where else to put it. Like you got 30 points in the good trees, Valor and Honor, and 5 in virtues for the minor there. Like then you're left with 5 points, and you could put those into either virtues, which doesn't really grant you anything amazing. You can get 25% longer retail duration, but I don't think that's that amazing.
Okay, I see.
So I'd rather have the blind, which can be used for stumbling, can be used for when you try to rest, some damage avoidance there. It's all right. It's an alright trait.
That's nice. Okay, I think Purity for, yeah, the condi removal in this condition meta,
Yeah,
obviously.
and
And
then
Mace
the
of Justice, okay.
yeah, it's a good trait. It gives you a lot of sustain. Like you have so much healing from the symbol 2 in Mace with all these traits put together,
Yeah,
and from the the amount of vigor you get from you can just heal yourself a lot. It gives tremendous sustain this build, which is the traits just synergize well.
yeah, awesome. And applying a boon to allies heals you. Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah,
actually pretty obvious.
yeah, that's amazing,
It's
particularly with the
just for
staff.
team fights and team support.
Yes, well, even if
And
there's no team
yourself.
fights, you also when you apply a boon to yourself, it also counts
It's
as a
like,
healing tick.
it's especially for stuff 4 where you stack might, right? Because then every, like, it stacks 3 times, I guess.
Yeah,
And then
4 times might to everyone around me,
okay,
3 times.
but every time it stacks like 4 stacks might, you get it ticks or something. The last one from Valor.
Yeah, it does
Okay, I see that. That's
for
interesting.
every person it puts it on. So it can, if you do an all-out channel with the staff 4 and you hit 5 people, you can heal yourself for. I'm just sussing our numbers here, but I think it's upwards of 6 or 7k.
Oh, oh, that's nice. And yeah, shout switches faster with triple shout and utilities. Well, that's obvious choice as well. And all symbol heal allies. So
That's more or
it's
less an
interesting
optional
choice.
trade. Yeah. I didn't used to run with this. I used to run with the knockback on rallying, but we found that
Okay.
it wasn't that useful. The knockback on rallying is in this meta because people just toss damage from range or they cleave
Yeah.
so hard that it doesn't really matter. Like you can either get the rest because there's not enough cleave damage, or you can't anyway. So the knockback isn't actually that amazing, and it's
Also, I
also on
think
a large cooldown.
in the current meta, like when Necros used to save stone with Plague, the Guardians
Yeah,
or Warriors have stability a lot of times, and even
yeah,
Thieves
well,
have stability. So I think it's, yeah,
exactly.
makes
And the
sense.
Guardians also save it, so
Yeah,
it's just become less valuable than it has been. So I'd rather have the extra sustain instead.
yeah, and the Pure of Voice. Okay, well that's for another condition move. Yes, I
Yeah,
guess. So let's
very
move
good
on to
synergy.
your utilities, I think. Well, the,
Yeah,
the okay, I think most new guards tend to use the signet because they think, yeah, the more healing you get, the better. But why do you use the block?
well, it's when you have as little HP as you do, like this block, it comes down to basically. Hold on, sorry. The signet it heals for too much, essentially. Like it practically gives you full HP and has a longer cooldown. It's just not very healing effective for the cooldown, and it's also interruptible. Like just having this block can help mitigate so much damage. Just being able to get a free heal off to avoid burst, to avoid CC, it's really good.
Okay,
You can
perfect.
use it out to avoid stealth burst. I've done that a few times, where people open from me try and burst me from stealth, and then you can just pop your your heal and you know you're gonna be alright for that second.
Yeah. And about the triple shouts, like for condition remove and the boons, I think. What do you do against a corrupt boon? How do you react to a corrupt boon?
When I try to do stump or arrest,
Yeah, I
and
think.
I think a corrupt boon is coming, I try and I just try and do it normally. And if he's close to me, then I can try and blind him. I can try to block his normal fears, and then I hold up off with using stand your ground until at the very end, because I'm anticipating a normal fear, and then I'm anticipating that he's gonna try and wait for me to post ability, so he can corrupt it. So I'm holding off with it until the very end.
Okay, awesome. And now that we have finished with the trades, one last question before we end this is what are the most difficult classes to your against your guardian and I think how long do you survive against a single guy with playing when playing that class?
The only build I can't survive against 1v1 indefinitely is sometimes Necros.
Okay.
It depends a lot on what I avoid and how the fight goes. But for the most case, I can survive indefinitely against a Necro. Thief, if I play well, I can survive indefinitely, even against Sword Dagger. But
Okay.
surprisingly, Engineers I can't survive forever against.
Oh, and why that? Because of the
It's because they've got so
poison,
much burn application
burn poison.
and poison as well.
Okay, I
Like
see.
they can keep applying them more faster than I can remove it.
Oh, and one last question for me because I'm interested in it. How do you practice as a team? Do you only do scrims, or do you like get together on TeamSpeak and work on new builds and work on new tactics and then try them out in scrims, or what do you do?
Lately, we haven't actually been practicing that much, but when we do practice, it's well, we have set practice times, and then we basically decide when we get on what we want to do. If someone has theory crafted new ideas, then we're happy to try them out in scrims or in queues or whatever. If there's no teams that want to scrim, then we just try and see if we can find some good teams in the team queue.
Okay.
But usually we have scrim set up against teams, and then we can experiment, or we can they can experiment,
Okay,
or
I
we can
see.
generally just whatever is on the table for the day.
Okay. So I think we will come to an end now. And it was really awesome to have you here, really, really. I was so glad that you were like so motivated to join me and to be up for the interview. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
And yeah, have a nice day, and maybe I will invite you once more with your whole team after the next tournament win, maybe.
Sure, sounds good.
So yeah, have a nice day. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. You too.